You don't look like anyone who belongs in this room." The voice cut the air like broken glass, sharp, careless, and loud enough for half the ballroom to hear. Charlotte Halston, daughter of tech billionaire Raymond Halston, didn't bother to whisper. She wanted it heard, wanted eyes to turn, and they did. Before we continue, where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. And if you believe in dignity and justice, hit like and subscribe. These stories spark change, and we're glad you're here. Now, back to Ava. The private suite inside the Langford Club was humming with investment royalty hedge fund founders, crypto pioneers, media moguls. Waiters in white gloves passed oysters and glasses of chilled champagne. But silence fell the moment Charlotte opened her mouth. Ava Monroe didn't blink. She stood just a few feet away, dressed in a coral wrap dress that didn't announce wealth, it announced control. No logos, no badge. One hand rested on her carry-on, the other held a phone mid-call. Behind her, glass panels overlooked the Manhattan skyline. Beside her, security hovered not by choice, but by demand. Charlotte Smirkel. Oh, come on. I'm not the only one thinking it. She's not press. She's not a speaker. So who brought the intern? A man near the bar chuckled. Another woman lowered her glass, uncomfortable but silent. The kind of silence that agreed with power, even when power was wrong. Ava still said nothing. Her posture didn't shift. Her eyes didn't dart. If anything, she seemed bored. Her silence wasn't passive. It was pressure, coiled. Charlotte turned to face her fully now, emboldened. Don't just stand there. What's your name, sweetheart? No response. The elevator chimed. Two more guests entered. One of them caught Ava's eye, then looked away quickly, recognition flickering but unspoken. You know what? Charlotte said louder. She's probably someone's +1, or worse, brand rep. Are you here to pitch your skincare line or something? There were laughs this time. Light, polite, but they landed. Still, Ava didn't move. The only sound from her was the soft click of a nail tapping her phone screen once, then silence again. It wasn't defiance. It was detonation, waiting. Charlotte rolled her eyes and walked off victorious in her own mind. But this wasn't a win. It was just her opening argument, in a room she didn't realize was rented with Ava's money. The thing about power is when it's real, you don't have to announce it. You just stand still and watch everyone else fumble to explain your presence. Ava Monroe stood still. The Langford Club buzzed around her. The soft clink of glassware, leather soles against Italian marble, a jazz quartet half hidden behind a curtain. Everything about this room screamed old wealth, old rules. And Ava? She didn't fit their picture. Not in coral, not with skin like hers, not with silence instead of small talk. She wasn't here to be seen. She was here to see. Every year, the Halston Foundation hosted this closed-door mixer invite-only, North Dakota. As at the entrance, net worths that could fund small countries. On paper, it was a celebration of innovation. In reality, it was a chessboard, and Ava had played it longer than anyone here realized. No assistant, no PR team, no flash of designer logos, just her and her presence. 10 years ago, she had walked into a startup pitch competition as the only black woman in the room. They smiled politely and told her she was inspiring. She left with no funding and a fire she never extinguished. Now, she walked into rooms like this one not to be inspired, but to choose who stays. From across the floor, a hedge fund manager tried to place her. He'd seen her name before on a term sheet, maybe. On the board minutes of that Singapore deal last quarter, but she didn't give him time to remember. She turned away. Nearby, a young woman, maybe 26, whispered to her friend, "She's probably someone's lawyer." The friend shrugged. "Not dressed like that." They both laughed quietly. Ava heard it. She didn't react. Because what they didn't know was this. Ava Monroe wasn't just on the guest list. She was the reason it existed. 3 years ago, it was her fund Axiom Capital that rescued Halston BioWare from collapse, a $2.7 billion infusion when no one else would touch the deal. On paper, she was a silent partner. In practice, she held the keys to every vault this room wanted access to. But that was the point. Silence wasn't her weakness. It was her armor. So when Charlotte Halston made her little joke, when the guests chuckled and moved on, Ava didn't move, didn't flinch. She simply waited, because in a room full of heirs and favorites, she was the only one who'd earned her presence. And when the moment came, and it would, she would show them that. Not with noise, but with numbers. "Excuse me, miss, this area's for active stakeholders only." The voice came from behind Ava, tight with forced politeness. A man in his early 32nd, tailored navy suit, hair gelled into submission. His name tag read Grayson Wells, Special Advisor to Halston Holdings. He wasn't asking. He was telling. Ava didn't turn around. She didn't need to. Grayson stepped closer. "Unless you're part of logistics or press, I'll have to ask you to clear this perimeter. We have some sensitive conversations underway." Charlotte smirked from across the room, sipping her drink. This was coordinated the way power likes to clean up its own discomfort. Ava slowly glanced over her shoulder. No irritation, no confrontation. Just a pause, like she was giving him a chance to correct himself. He didn't take it. Instead, he doubled down. "You don't seem to have a badge," he added, lowering his voice like a secret. "These events require confirmation through the board's CRM list, and I'm fairly certain you're not on it." Across the room, a woman in a pearl jacket whispered, "Someone really should screen these guest lists better." Her date nodded. "She looks more like PR than private equity." Ava said nothing, but in her hand, her phone lit up. A single text from Carla, her executive operations lead. "FYI, Axiom's 2.7B position still flagged as active on Halston's public disclosures. Want me to freeze comms yet?" Ava didn't reply. Not yet. Instead, she turned slowly and finally faced Grayson. "I see," she said, calm, low. "Is there a dress code I missed? Or just a face code?" Grayson blinked. Charlotte, watching, didn't blink at all. "You're misinterpreting," he said quickly. "I'm just ensuring we maintain the integrity of this space." Ava tilted her head. "This space?" Her eyes swept the room, then landed right back on his. "You mean the one built on capital you no longer control?" Silence. Not just from him. From three people nearby who heard her tone shift. Not louder, but heavier. The kind of voice that didn't need volume, only precision. Grayson stiffened. "Are you suggesting you're involved with Halston's books?" Charlotte laughed audibly now. "She's probably some consultant who read too many reports." That's when someone else stepped in, not to help, but to pile on. A gray-haired man in a tan blazer, clearly tipsy and full of entitlement, raised his glass toward Ava. "If you're here for optics, darling, I'd suggest the media room's 2 floors down." The laughter was louder this time. But Ava? She didn't move, didn't blink. Instead, she whispered one line. Not for them, but for Carla, still on the line. "Prepare the red file." Then she looked at Charlotte and smiled. The room didn't know what to do with silence, especially not when it came from a black woman who didn't look shaken. Grayson adjusted his tie. Charlotte sipped her drink harder. Even the music, a soft string rendition of Billie Eilish, seemed to grow self-conscious. Ava didn't say another word. She tapped her screen once. Not frantic, not dramatic, just deliberate. Charlotte leaned toward Grayson, loud enough for others to hear. "Is it just me, or is she texting someone to Google what private equity means?" Another laugh, this one brittle, forced, but it rippled. A waiter passed. Charlotte snapped her fingers for another glass. "Don't just stand there," she muttered in Ava's direction. "Either grab a drink or grab your seat back in general admission." Still, Ava remained still. She wasn't ignoring them. She was measuring them, the way a surgeon measures a heartbeat before making the first cut. Across the room, a junior analyst named Kira, mid-22nd, badge barely visible, holding a tray of client folders, paused. She'd seen the exchange. Her eyes flicked from Ava's calm, centered frame to the smirking cluster around Charlotte. Then she looked at her tablet, scrolled, stopped, and froze, because there, at the top of the partner overview document, under Axiom Capital, was a name: Ava Monroe, managing partner, co-founder, board member, Halston Joint Ventures. Kira's breath caught. She looked up again. Everything made sense now. The silence, the presence, the phone. And suddenly, the room felt off, like watching a movie where you just realized who the killer was 10 minutes too late. Kira stepped forward, not loud, not confrontational, but present. "Excuse me," she said, addressing Grayson. "Do you know who she is?" Grayson blinked. "I know who she's not a listed guest." Kira held up the tablet, hands slightly trembling. "She's not just a guest," she said. "She's a board-level investor." Charlotte scoffed. "Oh, please. She could have photoshopped that from LinkedIn. I've seen the profile scams. You people fall for anything." That phrase hung in the air like smoke. You people. Ava's head turned slowly, and for the first time, her expression shifted. Not anger. Focus. She looked at Charlotte, then at Kira, then back at her phone. Carla's message had just updated. Red file synced. Standing by for Phase 1 trigger. Ava didn't nod, didn't smile. She just whispered, almost there. She's a board-level investor. Those 6 words didn't land softly. They cracked something open, not loud, but deep. Enough to make a man near the bar lower his glass mid-sip. Enough to make Charlotte's smirk twitch. Enough for the room to shift its posture. But Ava? She didn't move. Kira still held the tablet, her voice now steadier. I double-checked. She's not just involved. She helped underwrite the joint venture that funds this entire series of Halston incubators. A young man in glasses conference badge flipped backward, leaned over from a nearby cluster. Wait, you mean she's that Ava Monroe? Kira nodded. And with that, the dam cracked wider. Phones came out, not recording, not yet, but searching. Search bars filled. Ava Monroe plus Axiom. Ava Monroe plus Halston. Ava Monroe plus Forbes. One tap later, her profile lit up screens like a slow dawn. Images from past summits. Interviews titled, The Silent Force Behind Billion-Dollar Clean Tech. A cover photo in Coral. One man whispered, She owns $2.7 billion in capital exposure here. A woman nearby answered, Correction, she is the capital. Charlotte's voice broke the rising murmur. This is all fake. She's probably some ghost investor someone brought in for optics. Daddy would have mentioned her if she mattered. From the back of the room, someone chuckled. It wasn't mocking, it was knowing. A woman, early 52nd, red lipstick, tailored black suit, a media executive who'd kept her phone face down until now, leaned back and said loudly, She didn't need your daddy to mention her. She owns his fallback plan. That did it. The crowd around Charlotte thinned just a little. Not fully, not betrayal, but caution, distance, and from the left, a small red light blinked. Keith Ramos, a mid-tier content creator covering insider finance culture, had hit record. He didn't say a word, just turned his lens slowly toward Ava. Kira noticed. So did Ava. She raised one finger slightly, not in panic, but command. Keith nodded. He lowered the phone. Ava's voice finally returned, soft, even. Let them hear it, not film it. Keith's voice cracked back, almost a whisper. Understood. Then Ava turned to Charlotte, still standing, still defiant, and asked, calmly, Would you like to try that joke again? Charlotte swallowed. Not fear, but the first hint of understanding. She wasn't the main character anymore. I've had enough of this. Charlotte's voice rang out like a warning shot, but it didn't echo. Too many ears were no longer willing to bounce her power back to her. She stepped forward, glass still in hand, but the confidence in her stride had dimmed. Just a flicker. But Ava noticed. This event is private, Charlotte said, raising her voice, and this woman is causing a disruption. A few heads turned, not because they agreed, but because they sensed something shifting. Like watching someone yell at the wrong storm, Grayson picked up on the cue. I'll call security, he said, reaching into his blazer for the event comm. This has gone beyond protocol. Kira spoke up, fast. Wait, she hasn't raised her voice. She hasn't moved from that spot. Grayson shot her a look. That's enough. But it wasn't, because Keith, who had stopped filming now, looked visibly torn, his phone still warm in his hand. And from the left wing of the ballroom, another journalist, Harper Lynn from Financial Insider, had entered mid-scene. She didn't say anything. She didn't need to. She pulled out her phone, pointed it at the trio, and pressed record. Charlotte ist. Oh great. Here comes the social circus. Then she looked at Ava. You really want to play victim in front of a camera? Ava's smile was calm, almost sympathetic. I don't play victim, she said. I play capital. Grayson stiffened. Security is on the way, Charlotte added. And once they get here, you can explain why a guest with no credentials thinks she can waltz into shareholder space. A beat. Ava tilted her head, not defensive, just curious. No credentials, she asked. Her voice didn't rise, but the silence that followed did. Kira, now fully committed, stepped forward again. She literally underwrites this room. Charlotte snapped. Oh, for God's sake, will someone shut the intern up? That line hit hard, not just in the air, but in the crowd, because now, the mask had slipped. The room began to shift again. And Ava? She didn't say a word. She just turned toward the entrance, and right on cue, The doors opened. Two uniformed Langford security officers stepped inside, calm, neutral, but alert. Grayson motioned toward Ava. "She's the problem." They didn't move yet, they scanned. Ava slowly raised her phone, tapped once. On the other end, Carla's voice came through crystal clear. "Protocol primed. Final confirmation?" Ava glanced at Charlotte, then at the crowd. Then she said one word, "Not yet." Then she turned to the guards. "I'd like to see your head of security, and legal, now." Not loud, not angry, but absolute. And suddenly, everyone realized they hadn't invited trouble. They'd invited judgment. "Ma'am, we're going to need you to come with us." The taller of the two guards stepped forward, calm, rehearsed, like he'd done this 100 times. Only this time, it wasn't just a woman he was approaching, it was a reckoning dressed in coral. Ava didn't flinch. Her phone still rested in her palm, screen dim but active. Carla's name pulsed at the top. Charlotte folded her arms. "Finally." "You took long enough," she muttered to the guards. "Escort her out through the service hallway. I'm tired of the theatrics." The security officer hesitated. Something didn't feel right. Grayson, trying to reclaim control, stepped in. "This guest is not credentialed, not verified, and has been creating disturbances," Charlotte added. "And she's filming or was. Pretty sure that's a violation." Ava calmly lifted her eyes. "I haven't recorded a thing," she said. Keith, across the room, held up both hands. "That was me, and I stopped when she asked." Harper, the journalist, kept her camera up. "I didn't stop. I think people need to see this." Charlotte turned sharply. "Then get out too. This isn't a press event." That's when Ava moved just one step, just enough to change the charge in the room. The security officer stepped forward again. "Ma'am," he said, hand gently motioning toward the exit. Charlotte smiled. She could smell the ending. "Don't make this harder," she said. "Just walk out like a good assistant." Then she reached forward 2 fingers and touched Ava's shoulder. And that was the mistake. The room went still. Not silent, still like air caught in glass. Because touching her wasn't procedure. It wasn't policy. It was personal. And it exposed everything. The disrespect, the entitlement, the belief that authority comes with lineage, not legitimacy. Ava turned slow, precise. She didn't slap the hand away. She didn't step back. She leaned in just enough and said, "You just crossed into liability." Charlotte laughed brittle. "What are you going to do? Call your supervisor?" "No," Ava replied. "I'm going to call your father's board." And then she tapped her screen. Carla's voice was waiting. "Understood." Phase 1 triggered. External comms frozen. Internal escalation underway. Red file sent to Halston Legal, PR, and board chair. Timestamp marked. Ava looked back at the guards. "I suggest you don't put hands on me again. Not unless you'd like to explain, under oath, why a shareholder was manhandled in her own funded space." The taller guard blinked. The shorter one lowered his hand. Grayson's lips parted, but nothing came out. And Charlotte? Charlotte stepped back, but it was too late, because Harper Lynn had caught the entire contact, and her live stream was now climbing past 15,000 viewers. The headline typed itself, "Investor ejected by billionaire's daughter, but she funds the whole room." And Ava? She turned to the crowd, not to address them, but to wait, because the fall doesn't begin with a scream. It begins with stillness. "Carla," Ava said, voice low but precise. "Initiate Protocol 2. Full containment. Real-time trace. Lock the Axiom node." There was no delay. "Understood," Carla replied. "Halston's equity dashboard just went dark. Their entire digital comms suite is quarantined. Confirmed. Red file pinged by 3 board members. You'll hear from legal in 90 seconds. Charlotte didn't understand, not yet, but Grayson did. His eyes flicked to his phone, then back to Ava. You had access to the back end?" he asked. Ava didn't answer. She didn't need to. Behind her, 2 guests stepped aside to give her more space, not out of fear, but respect. One of them whispered, "She's really pulling it." The other nodded, stunned. "She's killing the partnership live." Charlotte's voice cracked. "You can't just cancel a joint venture like that. There are clauses." Ava turned toward her slowly, her expression unreadable. "I don't need to cancel it," she said. "I own the clause that does." The guards, now fully uncertain, stepped back. Harper was still filming, eyes wide. "I think you're watching a $2.7 billion exit happen in real time," she murmured to her followers. Keith whispered to no one in particular. This ain't a takedown, this is a transfer of power. Kira, clutching her tablet like a shield, stepped closer. I just checked, she said. Halston's venture portal is down, like completely. Error 503. Grayson's jaw tightened. That's not possible. That's proprietary infrastructure. Ava raised an eyebrow. So is oxygen, she said. But take it away, and people remember who controls the air. Charlotte reached for her phone. Her fingers trembled slightly. No, she muttered. No way this is real. Daddy would have told me. Ava cut in, calmly. Your father doesn't tell you everything, especially not who kept him afloat when his Series E crashed. You think he owns this room? She stepped closer. I built this room. Charlotte didn't respond, but her silence said more than her words ever could. Then, Ava turned to the guards now watching, listening, reassessing. If your concern is protocol, she said, then you'll note that as of 24 seconds ago, I locked the primary funding channel to this event. She nodded toward the glass doors. And once legal confirms this ballroom, she glanced at Charlotte, goes dark, along with every license tied to Halston's expansion fund. Silence. Then Carla's voice returned in Ava's ear, crisp and surgical. Halston Legal has responded. Board chair acknowledged breach of conduct. They've greenlit your full exit. Statement incoming. PR freeze activated. Live stream links flagged. You're clear to proceed. Ava breathed in once, then said, simply, begin. By the time Ava stepped toward the center of the ballroom, the room had stopped breathing. No one touched their drink. No one checked their phone. Even the jazz quartet, sensing something tectonic, faded into a confused diminuendo. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't stand on a platform. She simply spoke. My name is Ava Monroe. A pause. Heavy. Electric. I'm co-founder and managing partner of Axiom Capital. And for the last 3 years, I've served as lead investor and controlling stakeholder in the Halston Joint Venture Initiative. Heads turned. Meaning, she continued, I approved the funding for this building. I underwrote the valuation of the Halston R&D wing. I signed the agreement that paid for the logo on your champagne napkins. Her voice didn't rise, but it traveled. Charlotte took a step back. Grayson's lips parted, eyes wide. That's not possible. Ava turned to him. You signed my NDA 2 years ago, she said. You just didn't know it was me. From behind a marble column, a man in a gray vest, Halston's VP of PR ducked into view, phone pressed to his ear, whispering fast. Harper's live stream hit 47,000 viewers. Keith's comments section exploded. And then, gasps. Someone at the bar pulled up a video. A TED Talk. Ava Monroe. Coral dress. Singapore. Standing ovation. Someone else pulled up Forbes. 50 women who rebuilt the economy. Slide 3. Ava. Stern. Brilliant. Unbothered. Charlotte's expression cracked. You lied. No, Ava said calmly. You assumed. Kira looked around the room, voice barely above a whisper. She doesn't just belong here, she owns here. And that was when it happened. The twist wasn't her title. It wasn't the power. It was the realization that they'd all seen her and refused to see her. Charlotte stammered, her face pale. I didn't know. That's the point, Ava cut in. You didn't want to. She turned to the guests. All of you have spent the last 40 minutes asking if I was lost, or out of place, or fake. A slow breath. But I was standing exactly where I was meant to be. The glass in Charlotte's hand tilted not by intention, but by shock. The champagne spilled silently down her wrist. Ava stepped forward, voice still even. I didn't need a stage, or an announcement, or applause. She looked Charlotte directly in the eye. I just needed one moment of underestimation. Then she turned, calmly, and walked back toward the main entrance. Not rushed, not flustered, just sovereign. The aftermath wasn't loud. It was stunned, dense, like a room that suddenly realized it had been standing on the wrong side of history live. Charlotte didn't speak. She couldn't. Her fingers trembled around the half-empty glass. Her mouth opened slightly, as if a rebuttal might form, but nothing came. Not even breath. Grayson just stared at the floor, face pale. His earpiece blinked with missed calls, all from Halston Legal. He didn't answer. What would he say? That he dismissed the woman whose signature funded his last 2 quarters? Kira stood frozen, still holding the tablet. But this time, her face wasn't uncertain. It was certain, fiercely so. She watched Ava walk, slow and composed, toward the double glass doors like they were her own. because they were. And the room? The room was coming undone. Harper's live stream hit 62,000 viewers. A screen capture of Ava's calm face was already trending under number Monroe Move. One viewer commented, "She dismantled them in silence. That's legacy." Across the floor, whispers surged like fire eating silk. Did you hear what she said? She pulled $2.7 billion mid-event. My boss just texted Axiom locked out Halston's entire portfolio. She bought this space and let them mock her in it. Near the bar, an older woman in a navy gown clapped once, then again, then steadily. Others joined, not all at once, but one by one, like they were washing off their own complicity, not in cheering, but in silence. By the time Ava reached the threshold of the ballroom, more than a third of the guests were clapping. Not performative, not obligatory, just awake. Charlotte took one step toward the crowd, then stopped. The applause wasn't hers. It had never been. Keith looked around, his phone now down, and said to no one, "You know what the real twist is?" Someone answered, "That she was CEO?" Keith shook his head. "Number that she let us show ourselves first." At that moment, Carla's voice returned in Ava's earpiece. Board acknowledgement confirmed. Halston Internal just suspended all campaign rollouts. Do you want to release the joint statement now? Ava slowed, hand on the door handle. No, she said quietly. Let them sit in the silence a little longer. Behind her, the applause swelled. And the ballroom, once curated for power, had become the stage for its correction. Outside the ballroom, the Langford Club's corridor gleamed with silence, the kind polished by generations of unchecked wealth. But tonight, that silence belonged to Ava Monroe. She stood at the mezzanine balcony, back turned to the room she had just redefined. Below, the city pulsed lights flickering like circuits recognizing new command. Her phone vibrated once. A secure push notification from Carla. All thresholds reached. Legal has cleared your next move. Portal open for final signature. Ava didn't hesitate. She opened the Red File app. A biometric scan done. Then the screen displayed 3 words. Execute total exit? Her finger hovered for only a second. Then, confirmed. Across 3 continents, servers spun. In Singapore, Frankfurt, and New York, the digital bridge between Halston Holdings and Axiom Capital dissolved line by line. Partnership contracts voided. Access credentials revoked. Shared dashboards, analytics, cloud systems sealed. In under 30 seconds, the empire Charlotte's father had quietly relied on was no longer his to touch. At the exact same moment, Grayson's phone blinked red. Access denied. He tapped again. Error 401. Credentials revoked. Inside the ballroom, confusion spread like spilled ink. Whispers turned frantic. Someone muttered, "We just lost the back end." Another shouted, "Our Q4 campaign files are gone, everything's offline." Charlotte's father, Raymond Halston himself, appeared on a side screen in the ballroom, joining via secure conference. His voice was terse. "What the hell just happened? Who authorized this?" A single reply showed on the screen. Ava Monroe, Axiom route clearance logged. Time, 8:41 p.m. Est. Action, full withdrawal. The room exploded in disbelief. Raymond's voice cut again. "Put her back on, now." But Ava had already stepped into the elevator. On the ride down, her reflection met her gaze composed, clean, intact. As the floor numbers ticked, Carla's voice returned. "Exit complete. Halston board has initiated emergency meeting. PR holding pattern is stable. You've made history, Ava." She replied, barely above a whisper. "Number, I just ended a chapter." When the elevator opened to the Langford lobby, Ava walked out head high, heels steady past guests, staff, and silence shaped like awe. By the front doors, a junior analyst stood frozen, young, nervous. "Ma'am," she said, unsure what else to call her. "What do we tell the market?" Ava didn't pause. She only said, "Tell them. The market just learned how to spell respect." And then she was gone. Outside, the August air clung to Manhattan like warm velvet. Ava Monroe stepped onto the curb. Her driver already waiting black sedan, back door open, no questions asked. She didn't rush. She stood for a moment, the kind of moment that rewrites memory while the Langford Club behind her sat in stillness, lights on, power off. Inside, Chaos Blumed quietly. Staff resetting terminals. board members dialing each other on scrambled lines. Charlotte, silent now, watching her world shrink from the inside. But Ava? She didn't look back. A notification popped on her phone. Number Monroe Move, trending #1 inch finance. Forbes requests exclusive. CNBC asks, who really controls capital? She dismissed them all, because the story wasn't for headlines. It was for every room that ever made someone like her feel like an accident. She opened the car door, but before stepping in, she turned just slightly and looked up at the glass tower behind her. Somewhere in that ballroom, they were still scrambling to explain the collapse of an alliance they never bothered to understand. A woman nearby, maybe a pedestrian, maybe a guest who snuck out to breathe, approached her. "I saw what you did," she said quietly. "They'll talk about it, they'll twist it. But those of us who know, we know." Ava nodded once, not in agreement, in acknowledgement. Then, her eyes met the woman's, steady, unshaken. "Let them talk," Ava said. Talking is all they ever had. The woman smiled, and Ava stepped into the car. The door closed with the kind of softness that meant it didn't need to slam to be heard. As the car pulled away, a final message from Carla slid into view. "All done. Market analysts calling it the quietest coup in venture history. Your move, Ava." She read it, then locked her screen. No grin, no speech, just presence the kind that couldn't be dismissed anymore. And as Manhattan flickered behind her, Ava Monroe disappeared into the city she owned, one unspoken truth echoing in her wake. Power doesn't prove itself. It just decides when you find out.